CIT 1121 instructional video packet tracer 465. In this video, we're just going to go through some basic connections. We're going to use the orange lightning bolt a lot to connect devices together and just get an idea of different kinds of media that you can use within packet tracer. After you watch this video, you will not set up any more optical links, I don't think, ever in any of the other videos for the entire CCNA course. But you do get to see how to do them here. So let's get into it. So background, we're working with packet tracer. This is a really nice introductory type lab. I would say this would actually be a lab that you could do before you did the labs in chapter 2. So chapter 2, I mean, you kind of just dig right into it. And then in chapter 4 here, they're like, oh yeah, by the way, we forgot to teach you how to use packet tracer. Here's some information that might be helpful. So who knows? In the end, you got to learn it all anyway. So we'll just take it in order. Let's get into part 1 here. Connect to the cloud. Connect the cloud to router 0. So router 0 is over here. We've got our cloud over here, and it's going to say use the correct cable in order to get from point A to point B. Router 0 is a F0/0. I know that F stands for fast Ethernet. So that means I'm going to use an Ethernet cable. And that's just going to be a straight through cable that we're going to use in this case. So the cloud connection is going to supply some kind of switching mechanism. One of the things they're trying to get across here is that there's sometimes you're going to use straight through cables and sometimes you're going to use crossover cables. And in this case, we are going to use a straight through cable. And we're going to connect it from those two locations. So Ethernet to Ethernet, and then that's up and running, and we just scored 12 points. Step 2. Connect the cloud to the cable modem. So cable modem's over here. This one's also going to connect to the cloud. Everybody needs internet access. In this case, this is a coaxial communication link. So this would be a traditional, like if you ever had like a Comcast broadband connection into your house or into a business, Comcast will supply different types of connections for you, but one of the most popular ones is the coax connection. So they have a coaxial cable, and that's that, you should know what that is. So let's go ahead and connect that one up. So let's see if we can find a coaxial connector in our links here. This one is fiber, this one's phone. Blue is coaxial, so we'll go coaxial, cloud, coaxial 7 into cable modem, coax, port 0. And that's a good connection. That's pretty good. So remember, if the lights turn green, you did it right. And let's go down to part 2, connect router 0. Connect router 0 to router 1. So we're going to go between these two routers right here. And we're going to use a serial communication. Now, serial is kind of left the CCNA curriculum, but this is still pretty cool. You will see this in a lot of legacy labs. Serial was a simulated WAN link that you would set up. And you can use it all the time, and they're pretty cool looking. And in the next video, you'll see a serial card in the back of one of the routers, and we're going to actually add another card to it. But there is a serial card back here. I think if I click on router 0, you can see this card right here. I'm just going to do a zoom in here. And if you look at this location here, the slot 0, it actually has, this is called a smart serial card. This is called an HWIC2T, which is just 2 serial links. And the lower one is always the lower number. So this being slot 0, this would be a serial interface. So S, and then backplane 0, slot 0, interface 0. So the lower one is going to be serial 0/0/0, and then the higher one would be serial 0/0/1. Just if you ever see these in real life, that's the lower numbers are always in the bottom, and then they count up from the bottom. It's just the standard that they use. No big deal. All right, let's go back to we don't really need the CLI right now. Let's go ahead and connect router 0 and router 1 with their serial connections. That serial 0, they want 000, but I believe to 000 if I remember doing this lab previously. And those are connected, and those are green links. So that'll totally work for us too. That's usually a slower method of communication. More on that once again in the next lab. So we just did that, and now we're on step 2. Connect router 0 to Netacad PKA. which is this guy right here. So router 0 to Netiquette PKA. Now, when we're going to connect a router interface to a device that's not a switch in Ethernet, we need to use a crossover cable. Now, there's a lot of times there's something called Auto MDX, and Auto MDX will figure out if you plug the wrong cable in, and it'll fix the ports. More on that in the instructional video or presentation video. But for now, in this case, in order to get router 0's Ethernet connection connected to Netiquette without a switch, we need to use a crossover cable, and the crossover cable is the dotted cable across the bottom here. So this one says let's go ahead and connect that. Router 0. This is an Ethernet connection, so say fast Ethernet 2. Netiquette PKA, fast Ethernet also, and that is a good connection. You should know, if you don't know in your head right now, when to use a straight through and when to use a crossover, we have other videos posted that'll go through that. But essentially, if one side is a switch and the other side is not a switch, use a straight through cable. And if it's two switches or it's two devices that are not switches, use a crossover cable. So 2 out of 3 scenarios are actually crossover. However, most configurations are connected to a switch. So in most cases, you will connect a straight through cable from switch to another device. Okay. Step 3, connect router 0 to the configuration terminal. Configuration terminal means that I want to set it up for a console connection. And that means I'm going to use the console port on the router and the RS-232 port on the PC. I need to use a special cable again, not crossover this time, but the blue one, which actually represents a rollover cable. So we're going to go rollover cable RS-232 to router console, and that should work for us as well. All right, good. So that's done. Let's go down to part 3. Connect the remaining devices. Just going to scroll up here. Connect router 1 to switch. So router 1 F0/1 to switch F0/1. Once again, the F stands for fast Ethernet. So we're going to go fast Ethernet router to fast Ethernet on a switch. That is a straight through Ethernet cable. So let's go ahead and grab one of those. So that's there. And that is router 1 F0/1 to switch 1 F0/1. Whoops. Oh boy, I made a mistake here. Hang on, let's get rid of that cable. Let's take a look at this. And this one is actually router F1/0, not 0/1. Let's zoom in on that. And F1/0 here in slot 1 is a fiber optic connector. My bad. Whoops. So let's find the correct fiber cable to go through that. Fiber is kind of a gold look at the bottom. So let's try that again. So let's go F0/1 to switch F0/1. And now we got the right connection in. My bad on that one. And so that is done. Connect the cable modem to the wireless router. So there's no connection between these two. Cable modem to wireless router. The back plane of the wireless router is actually a... I can't get to it. It is kind of showing it me here. This yellow block is for our PCs, if we have any PCs that are connected, and then the other one, the blue one, is for the internet, and that is set up with the pinouts set correctly to go directly into a cable modem. And so we won't have to use a crossover there. We should just use a straight through, and that should do the job for us. That's good. And so that's finished. Wireless router, Ethernet 1 to family PC. Family PC is getting left out right now, so let's go ahead and add that connection in. Right, and once again, this wireless router has a switch plane on the back, so straight through cable is going to work out just fine. Connecting that Ethernet to that Ethernet. That gets us 200 points. That's a pretty good lab, kind of a easy, just point and click and learn about the different types of interfaces. This is an important piece. it bears out more when you're working with the equipment, knowing which cable is what and what to plug in where, but theoretically this works fine. We'll see you in the other lab for Module 4 after this.